that sound, it kind of flows with the whole ambience of what we're trying to create. But
absolutely.
Today I'm here on the Russ Meek Speak Show with a distinguished individual. We're going to talk a little bit about an organization and he's helped to sponsor, expand, and make moves throughout the Chicagoland area. And Donald Do, that interesting name, you do what you got to do. So, Don, what's your organization? What do you guys do? Where are we taking this thing and what's our next step?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. I truly appreciate it. Habilitative Systems, Inc. has been serving Chicagoland communities since 1978. We grew out of Clear Christian United Methodist Church, which is still active and involved in the North Lawndale community. As part of that community ministry, we started out with about 3 programs, serving wards of the state who were involved with the Department of Children and Family Services. We ran a sheltered workshop for people with disabilities and also a Rotary Club for persons in recovery. So from those 3 programs, we now operate over 50 different programs and have constructed over 160 units of housing for senior citizens and people with disabilities, working with youth and trauma. We're still operating our sheltered work center. We provide residential services for persons with developmental as well as mental illness services.
Okay.
And we've been doing a lot. Folks have been saying to me over the years, Donald, it seems like you're trying to be all things to all people. I'm like, no, we're just trying to be responsive to community need, and there's a lot of need out there.
It's done. From what I'm hearing, briefly, you guys do a lot.
Yeah, we do.
It takes a lot of money to do a lot, and the format right now, getting financing, dollars come in from different organizations, but right now, what's the main mission for Habilitative Systems over the next 5 to 10 years? Where am I going to see when I turn over the TV? Am I going to see Don with his own network, Habilitative Systems, or what's going to be the deal?
Well, that'd be nice. But as long as that network would be bringing in the resources that we need to serve more people. But what you'll be seeing as part of our mission is a multi-tiered collaboration of care models that are serving people with special needs. So, for example, we're one of the few organizations within the state, possibly within the country, that are providing supportive, affordable housing to special populations. That includes people with developmental disabilities, senior citizens, people with mental illness, and hopefully you'll see within the next couple of years HSI developing a female veterans program to deal with our female veterans who have been victims of post-trauma stress as well as military sexual trauma.
Okay. So again, format there, but the issue right now, again, is this just a black organization? You guys only help the black people, or is this up to everybody?
No, in fact, when we were operating a shelter for the homeless years ago, most of the people that we were working with were Polish immigrants.
Okay.
And of course, we weren't speaking Polish, but we were working with the Polish Welfare League. Okay. And, working with interpretive services. So, basically we're working with, not only African Americans, but also folks who are Hispanic as well. Every nationality, race group we're working with.
Okay. You guys have interpreters for Espanol and for all the other sources?
Yes, we do.
I can say, hey, I got an old lady calling, she's from Russia. You need some help.
We'll find a way to help. Yes, we do. Yeah.
Now, my issue right now, you guys do a lot. Definitely helping a lot of people, different needs. I've been doing a lot of work these days with different organizations for mental illness. Huge amount of people right now, especially coming out of our penal systems, that suffer from the mental illness sides.
Right.
And right now, you guys got to get hit by a lot of those people, I'm assuming. But how do people find out how to reach what you guys do and how you can help?
Well, programs like this one is really important. It's very, very critical. People can tune in, they can hear what's going on. We also, provide information out to all of our stakeholders with our various newsletters. We work with print and broadcast media, to try and get the word out about the services that we operate. Then the other big way that we do it is through collaboration. And I always say, less to that, there's power in collaboration. So we're now, as part of the major statewide initiative for healthcare transformation, and involved with a couple of healthcare transformation collaboratives over here on the west side of Chicago that include both Wellness West and Collaborative Bridges. So we get the word out through partnerships, and what's interesting about those collaborations is that we're in partnership with the major hospitals in the medical district just a few feet away from here. So working with Rush and County and Sinai and all these different hospitals is critical to getting the word out there. So now these individuals, these corporations, these businesses and institutions know about the work that we're doing. And so our word, our name, our service portfolio, if you will, gets expanded into the healthcare industry in a way that it wasn't before.
So again, for folks listening to this show today, they hear a lot of things we're talking about. they say, well, Habilitative Systems, how do I contact them? Or do I look at a website, or what's the best way to find out?
Basically, you can call that number for us, 773-261-2252, or you can go directly to our website, www.habilitative.org.
Okay, and then what do I tell somebody? I'm a person, I'm 70 years old, I need some help and assistance, so what do I ask for?
Well, we always emphasize that taking care of, your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health. So that's part of what we're looking at in terms of the integrated model of care. HSI is considered what they call a behavioral health and human services organization. So we're dealing with both the mental health needs as well as substance use issues that our community faces. You have made reference to people who are incarcerated. I often think about how traumatic it is for a person to be incarcerated, especially a person who is incarcerated for nonviolent offenses, and then they go into an institution and go into that type of a setting where they may also become potentially victimized. So you've got that. You've got roughly about 60% of the adults who are walking around right now who have experienced some type of adverse childhood experience. Okay. I remember as a child growing up on the west side of Chicago, a policeman putting a gun to my head saying if I move, he'll blow my brains out. That was traumatic, And there's been so many, instances like that in our community where, folks have had, these experiences of trauma. And then, of course, we've got also the incidence of generational trauma. It's not just with our generation, but the generation before us and the generation before them and the generation before them. Now you've got this generational trauma that's embedded, and they've been terming that epigenetics, because that component of that generational trauma is also embedded in our gene structure.
Okay. So biggest thing right now for Habilitative Systems, you guys need more people, volunteers, more staff, or what do you need?
We need more money.
Money's always an issue.
Yeah. I've been saying, let's say that we don't need to operate more programs, but we do need to deepen our roots. And those roots can come in the form of social investors. We need folks to look at the Habilitative Systems model and to look at the work that we're doing in these 17 different locations across the south and west sides of Chicago. Over 100 staff, over thousands of people served a year, over 6,000 people served a year. How can folks invest in those programs? How, and we've also been talking about the economic impact, for example, of HSI. We've saved the state of Illinois over $50,000 over the last 5 years, maintaining people in the community, as opposed to folks having to be institutionalized or incarcerated or showing up in emergency rooms. So if people just look at what we do and invest and say, we want to invest in this model, we want to keep this model going. In fact, we may be interested in replicating this model across the country because it's a good model. It's providing not only social services, but building homes, building facilities. It's connected with the church, connected with elected officials. They've got the formula for what a good community institution should look like.
We talked briefly before we started, opportunity zones exist in every state.
Yes.
Opportunity where people who may be wealthy want to get a chance to save in taxes can invest in opportunity zones.
Yes.
And put money in and say, hey, I can basically help the communities out.
Absolutely.
And benefit.
Absolutely. And to that point, Lester, I often say that social workers didn't build those 160 units of housing that we occupy for seniors and people with disabilities. So by us being in business, we have created business opportunities. There's over $20 million of new construction that has occurred on the west side of Chicago by us employing, business people.
Now, again, I talk about west side of Chicago, looking at the new high-end housing. The West Chicago, hey, that's the place to go. You want to buy a nice house, have a nice little location?
Yeah.
Don't seem like poor people going to be there, though.
Well, that's unfortunate because, being born and raised on the west side of Chicago, I've seen the changes that have occurred. In fact, I grew up right over here on Adams Street, not far from the old Chicago Stadium, now the United Center. I remember when that used to be a very stable, bustling community. Now all those homes have been torn down. And all those folks have been displaced. So yeah, the West Side is a very valuable place to live right now. But it's unfortunate when you think right now about folks living far west, in the West Garfield, Austin communities, that the life expectancy is 15 to 20 years less than people living downtown. It should not be that way. So, we've got to find a way to sustain the families that are there, to give them an opportunity to continue to experience, an improved quality of life and not just stay in survival mode. That's what it's all about. So, yeah, we know changes are going to come, but, give the folks that are there and who've been there for generations an opportunity to benefit from the changes that are coming.
Based on what you guys are doing today, Habilitative Systems is an organization that's trying to help as many people as possible. But I'm also looking at the city of Chicago that says we only have so many resources, we can only help so many. How can we bring everybody together and make things work?
Well, that's part of what I was saying in terms of collaboration. We can be so much more impactful and effective by working with other organizations and hospitals and other institutions. So, for most of my tenure as leader, and I've been in leadership at HSI since 1990, I've always been big on collaboration and working with other partners and finding ways to come together to make change happen and to make some quality outcomes and impact occur.
And we just had the multi-billion-dollar infrastructure set up for the health facilities around the Chicagoland area.
Yes.
Right now, are you guys seeing the collaboration that should be taking place?
Well, we're seeing it in the healthcare transformation collaboratives that the governor supported about 3 years ago. There's been millions of dollars that's been coming to West Side zip codes to deal with health inequities, and that's significant. So we do have an opportunity to employ more folk. We do have an opportunity to work with persons who we call experience, what they call they have lived experience. So those are persons who are formerly incarcerated, folks who have not, been a part of the healthcare delivery system. We're giving them an opportunity to work right now. We've got the community health workers, who are out there as well. So the grassroots folks are now getting an opportunity to be a part of the healthcare solution.
Yeah, I'm getting hit with the few organizations I try to assist.
Yes.
The mental health side right now, South Side and West Side, a lot of African Americans are being involved in that mental health side right now. But the real issue is how do we make sure that we're coordinating with you guys also to get this mental health and wellness set up properly?
Yeah, well, and again, the more that people can, listen to shows like these, reach out to our social media page. When we get, folks reaching out from businesses and corporate America saying, and even banks, with their reinvestment strategies saying, how can we, in fact, get organizations like HSI, more recognized and noted for the work that they're doing, then we can come up with ways and means to help them too, because a lot of what we do also represent businesses from the perspective of employee assistance programs. A lot of employees in these different businesses are having the same type of challenges, caring for older parents, dealing with children who are having some challenges, going to college, maybe stressed out, going through drug scenes. All these different, we got issues with brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, so it doesn't mean that the people that we serve are just those on a low economic scale. We're talking a lot of folks who are middle class, upper class, who have a lot of challenges that need intervention too. Yeah. So, we're positioned, really positioned to help folks wherever they are.
My large organization that I've been involved with in a few projects are big bank, Chase. Community reinvestment is definitely something that's supposed to be done.
Yes.
Government makes sure that they get that done. But are we sitting that relationship with Chase and HSI, your organization?
Yeah, that's a relationship that we definitely want to pursue. Certainly, when we think about community reinvestment, there's no better investment than HSI. We've been around nearly 50 years. We've been able to demonstrate the outcomes and the impact. So if they really want to see the money working, to this day, if you walk over to HSI, you would see, just 50 to 60 people with disabilities working on small contracts.
What type of disabilities?
Yeah, and these are people that would normally be institutionalized, so the banks, the private investors, the businesses, they see where their money is going. They would go to the 15 plus different locations at HSI. They could walk into our senior facilities, our facilities for people with disabilities. They can see the work and the impact and where the dollars are going. That's not a question.
Okay, so
it's
Donald,
a good investment.
In your opinion, what's the perfect model where habilitative systems can benefit, we can all win-win, and this can make society a better place? What's the perfect model in your book?
I like that question, I really do. I think it's a great question. The best model for me is an integrated care coordination model that includes both physical and mental health care that is coordinated, and I'm not talking case management, I'm talking care management. And we're talking about an integrated care model that is humanistic, that really looks at the best in people, and we're talking about a strength-based approach. We're looking at ways in which we can continue to empower folks to be their best and experience the best in life.
Okay, because right now we have a new generation of people, baby boomers, that basically reached the limits right now. Okay, I was the last of the baby boomers. What's happening here? What's going on?
Right.
So now since they're all out there, they're dying off, and they have kids who are going to be inheriting this wealth from mom and dad. In the format, are you guys getting types of communications back? Do you guys say, hey, well, mom and dad said they wanted to help out in the communities. They left in their trust X, Y, and Z, so they really want to help habilitative systems. Is that something you're seeing more of?
We have not been seeing it, but we would love to see it because that is another strategy around sustainability. You know, we've been working on projects that acknowledge the legacy of historically Black community-based organizations, and these organizations have been working like the Black churches and the Black settlement houses for years and years and years, taking care of folk in the community. But along with that legacy, you got to talk about sustainability. So the approach that you just mentioned is another of what I would call a sustainability strategy. You know, those are the kinds of, that's where banks can really help us out. That's where investors can really help us out. That's where folks who have that business expertise can really help us to think about ways and means. The other thing that we need to think about is social entrepreneurship, because we can put people to work. So what's the best way to get people to work? You know, so when we talk about, you know, cuts to Medicaid and people having to work, well, what's the best model? Can we get a solar plant, you know, on the premises? Can we do some other type of light manufacturing? We've done that over the years. We've done pillow manufacturing for the airlines. We've done janitorial services. We've done assembly of telephones for the Democratic National Convention. All of that being done out of the West Side location. So there's a way for it to be done. We just have to think creatively and consciously and mindfully about ways in which we can really make it better for folks.
Are you getting any communications from our notable institutions like University of Chicago and Northwestern here that have huge educational options that are out there to try to educate people and help to build models to create things like you're talking about? Have they approached habilitative systems?
Well, you know, we've have had and continue to have some great academic partnerships. We have paid internships programs operating here at HSI. And we've been doing that with University of Illinois, Jane Addams College of Social Work. We've been working with Chicago State University, Governor State University. Unfortunately, we have not had those formalized relationships yet with the University of Chicago, but we've got graduates from the University of Chicago who are heading up
I'm a grad from UC, so question,
but
if I called the dean, what am I supposed to ask him for?
Well, ask them for the opportunity to, first of all, give HSI an audience so that they can hear directly about not only our internship programs, but our impact. Maybe they can help tell the story about the community impact that we're having. Maybe they're willing to publish us in their professional journals. School of Social Service Administration is a very notable institution over there at U of C. So there's a tremendous opportunity for them to help us get the word out as well.
Okay, because again, huge institutions, notable around the country.
Yes.
A lot of money, a lot of endowment dollars.
Yes.
The question right now is, how do we utilize it properly?
Absolutely.
And right now, I always get requests for more money.
Yes,
Contributions, alumni,
Right.
hey, come on in. Like, wait a minute, where are you making this money use?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the thing about this is that when we talk about the generations that are coming, we've even, you know, started talking about the Gen Z mental health ambassadors, giving our younger folk an opportunity to learn about mental health. And they've been training in mental health first aid and looking at ways in which they too, you know, could be a part of the solution.
What's been the response from the Gen Zs?
Oh, they've been very responsive. In fact, you know, most of what we try and do with our Gen Zers is listen, you know, to their stories, because they've got some powerful stories to tell as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the question is, look, we're not losing out. We're going to come, we're going to help, we're going to make things work.
Right, absolutely.
Okay. Now, what about the world of corporate America? Are they acknowledging all these different things that need to take place?
Yes, I think that over the years, we've had some great corporate partnerships with United Airlines, Ebony Magazine, Ameritech. I mean, you name it. I mean, we've had some great corporate partnerships. Members of our board of directors have represented, you know, major corporations. Our board chair right now is with the Cochrane firm. And, you know, again, it's been significant in terms of the corporate partnership. It's just, again, a lot of needs. So it does require a tremendous amount of investment.
Now, from the corporate standpoint, are you guys looking for more board members? Is it
Yes.
a placement, like it's looking for key positions of different corporates? Say,
Yes.
I sit with a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They
Yes.
make contributions to organizations.
Yes.
I mean, this is a strategy. When I'm looking for another board member,
we're looking for, you know, more corporate board members. I mean, and we're looking for folks that can help us come up with those strategic opportunities, you know, to be more impactful in our community. You know, we want to be able to not only help save lives, but we want to build our communities. And, again, we've already demonstrated that we're part of the economic solution, by building these affordable facilities, by keeping people employed. The average person at HSI has been employed for over 5 years.
Okay.
And I've been employed at HSI for 40 years. I've got team members who've been employed. Our Chief Operational Officer, Dr. Dixon, has been there 40 years. I've got folks that have been in management at HSI for 20, 25 years.
We have some history.
Yeah, we got history. I mean, we've got longevity, and we've got, more importantly, passion, commitment, and a sincere desire to do the right thing.
What's the opinion here? Next 5, 10 years, where is Habilitative Systems going to be?
Well, first of all, I think that we're going to be in a stronger fiscal and sustainable position. That's number one for me. We can't provide, quality, impactful services unless we have a very strong, sustainable fiscal position. So that's number one. Number two, we're going to be a model for this type of community development across the country. The HSI model, talking about our humble beginnings, that faith-based, early beginning. Any organization, any church around the country that's interested in expanding its community ministry can look at the model of HSI and give birth to another model of care.
Okay.
And we've seen that happen in some aspects already on the south side of Chicago with, Pastor Harris over there with Bright Star. So he's expanding his community ministry, from the faith-based perspective. So the third thing I see happening is that we're going to have a greater impact on people, in terms of the special needs of people with disabilities, mental health, substance use. The violence will be going down because of impactful services that we're providing. More people are going to be a part of what we, in very compassionate terms, call the healthcare movement. You can't help and hurt the community at the same time. So we're trying to get more folks to be a part of the healing equation as opposed to hurting the folks that need the service the most.
Now, I've heard a lot of communications on the clergy. You
Yes.
guys are involved with a number of different organizations
Yes.
on the clergy side.
Yes.
What's the issue? Use an interesting format between government and state, and of course, looking at the clergy and the government side. Hey, we have some guidelines here we're trying not to tangle with, but we're just trying to help the people.
Yeah.
That's the key line.
Yeah, the government has been, actually responsive to that. In fact, we just were funded by the Illinois Department of Mental Health out of the Illinois Department of Human Services for our faith-based initiative. So basically, we're talking about ministry and mental health. And it's been a very powerful opportunity for us to work with local pastors. Pastor Ackery over here on the west side of Chicago is leading that effort for us as well. So it's making a difference. I mean, that faith-based effort is critical to this equation.
Now, I work with one organization, the Peacemakers here in Chicago, involved with a number of organizations doing the mental wellness format, doing
Yes.
the west side and south side development right now for a lot of people needing mental wellness care.
Yes.
But question coming back to your side is, right now, how do we help different organizations that want to get into your organization? Are they going to just basically help you guys service, provide technology, provide different things you need, or what's the best way for them to help you?
Well, one of our key supporters in terms of elected officials has been Senate Majority Leader Kimberly Lightford and the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus, who have been supporting our capacity building initiatives for smaller, community-based organizations. So already, we're gearing up to run a 16-week curriculum for capacity building for these smaller, community-based organizations, so that they can learn from the HSI model, look at, finance and legal and strategic planning, risk management, HR, look at all these different components to running an organization. So to get that kind of support from our elected officials is really critical and makes all the difference in the world.
Okay, so what's our friendly Dr. Governor thinking about what's happening these days?
Our Dr. Governor? Well, of course, I think Governor Pritzker is serious. I'm happy that he's decided that he wants to run for another term. He's been very supportive. His administration has been very supportive of us, and that's significant. So I think that more of that's going to continue. I think he's very compassionate when it comes to maintaining the human services safety net, and he's really pushing back heavily on a lot of the proposed budget cuts from President Trump's administration, in terms of Medicaid cuts and cuts to SNAP and other key programs that really have been supporting our populations and giving them greater access to care. So I think that he understands that there are political determinants of health that need to be addressed.
Key question: if you had a call or information sent to your desk, and this was from President Donald Trump, to say, look, I'm thinking about joining your board here, Donald. Would you accept that?
Yes.
Oh, wait, Trump
Yes.
on the board?
Yes.
Well,
And I'll tell you why. Number one, if I am in a position, from my perspective, to influence political actions that impact the people that I serve, and being in a board position would help me get that, fine. If it doesn't happen, if it doesn't have that type of influence that I seek, then I would ask him to step down from the board. But being on the board, or if he were to say, how can I help? Just for example, like, we've seen this assault on DEI programs, yet at the same time, we've seen a presidential executive order supporting HBCUs. I found that to be rather interesting.
very.
Okay. So did the HBCUs say, oh no, we're not going to accept your executive order?
They did
No,
not.
they did not.
They did not decline.
No, they did not decline that. So we have to look at what is in the best interest of people that we serve. And I don't always agree with one's politics, but I'm always on the side of the community, always on the side of people. What is in the best interest of the people that we serve?
Got it. We've had a number of things that we tapped on in terms of what's really going to happen here with habilitative systems. From what you want personally to make sure it happens, and you want to make sure before you leave your post, it's going to take place. What's that going to be?
An endowment. I think that with all the effort that we put into trying to sustain our community, we want to make sure that we've got a stable organization, one that can be here for 100 plus years, double the amount of years that we've been. I think that it does work, knowing that this agency is here, this organization is here, that it is reflective of the care, the compassion, and the capacity of people to serve. To have an organization like HSI that gives community residents an opportunity not only to be served, but also to work. I mean, it's not very different from the old Sears Roebuck model. When Sears was over here on the west side of Chicago, I mean, they had this beautiful manufacturing plant, and there they were, not only providing jobs to folks, but also were providing supportive housing for folks as well, and just hundreds of employees, So I think that the HSI model around giving folk an opportunity to be served, but also to work in the community near their homes is a very powerful model.
Got it. Right now, we can only say that so much information can be provided to our audience.
Yes.
Right now, we have a number of words. What's the key thing you want from today's communication to the public that's listening to us now? What do you want them to know that habilitative systems wants them to know that you're trying to create?
That habilitative systems is a good investment, both in terms of compassion from a human services perspective and also economics. That we're also able to embrace what we call the double bottom line. We're about a mission, very powerful mission, but we're also about being in the black and making sure that we can have some data to support the dollars and certainly results that support the revenue that we get.
Okay. So I have battles at board meetings about being in the black. I never would support a budget that would be promoted that's not in the black.
Yes.
And I have to battle with people. Wait a minute, we don't have to do this. We can.
No. Now, we're not for profit, but we are profit oriented. I mean, we've got to be able to demonstrate that, we're making good use of the dollars and the dollars are making sense.
Yeah, and again,
Yes.
for me, that's just the way I think. That's the
Yes.
logic that comes out.
Absolutely.
But other board members are going to say, don't worry about that. Hey, we'll get the money back.
Right.
It's just like our perfect bill that's been put on the table by our current president, the multi-trillion-dollar budget that we have for the U.S.
Yes.
government here right now. Who's going to pay for this?
Right.
And with all the issues that are happening right now, that's going to greatly impact organizations like yours.
Yes. I mean, that's what we want people to know. We want that message to get out there among people that HSI has been impactful, that, more people have been served because of the current policies that exist. That to negate these policies, to eradicate these policies, means that there's going to be greater costs, to government. More people are going to be in the emergency room. More people are going to be incarcerated. More people are going to be institutionalized, not less. We've been able to demonstrate, by impacting the recidivism rate, that the cost of our care is a lot more beneficial than the cost of institutional care. So that's what we want to continue to emphasize and make sure that our legislators understand that we've got the ability to demonstrate impact and results, to put some of the policies in place right now that are going to do these massive cuts to folk is going to create significant hurt and harm shit, without question.
Got it. Yeah. Right now, I've talked with our notable friend, Congressman Danny Davis.
Yes.
He is honored that he's been able to assist and get involved with habilitative systems. He feels you guys are a perfect model organization that helps throughout the city of Chicago.
You know, Congressman Davis, I've known him for over 50 years. He and my mother were two individuals from the community, along with many significant other folks that actually were the founders of the Miles Square Health Center and the subsequent movement that occurred over here on the west side to create affordable, accessible health care for folks. And, you know, I've always learned from his model of servant leadership. It's been very powerful, very impactful. Every level of government that he's served at, he's served well and have been very, very impactful. So I take notes, you know, I pay attention to how he takes care of the community and gives back to the community. In fact, he was able to, through a congressional opportunity, provide $500,000 for HSI main facility renovation. That building is over 100 years old, and that's another opportunity for investors to help us, you know, really renovate that building and potentially create it as a National Historic Site. In fact, the original inhabitants of that building was a Belden Manufacturing Company, which is now a multi-billion-dollar company and national company. And we'd like to get the Belden Corporation to come back home because they were located right there at that location on the west side. Mm-hmm. So I think there's just tremendous opportunities for folks to help and to be a part of the compassion and dream and the competency that is HSI.
Got it. With the situation with my favorite legislator, Danny Davis, trying to decide who's going to take over Danny's spot. And Danny's like, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. Don't worry. Well, Danny, we need at least to get it back up. So what do you think about our main components we have in the state of Illinois? If we don't get some type of potential legislation to come up, what can we do?
Well, first of all, I'm of the opinion that Congressman Davis has done just a phenomenal job during his tenure. Whenever he decides to step down, of course, that's going to be his truth to tell. But I do think that there's some qualified folks that can step up. Will they replace Congressman Davis? No, nobody can replace Congressman Davis, but they can bring, you know, their own abilities and talents to the equation, to the table, and continue to do some good in our neighborhood. So I'm looking for folks like that to step forward and to make their interests known. I'm not one of those people. So
that's not on the list.
That's not on my list of things to do, but I will continue to work with whoever's in that position to make sure that our community gets the services that it requires and needs.
Okay, so again, you've mentioned our governor and the fact that he's assisted, he helps with the organization.
Oh yeah.
Right now, basically the state of Illinois has been in full support of what you've been able to create and how you've substantially saved the state of Illinois dollars that has made dollars work better.
Absolutely, and it's been every level of government. I mean, our city officials, our aldermen, our county commissioners, I've worked with all of them at every level of government. And I can honestly say that at every level of government, they have been supportive of Habilitative Systems, Inc. and our mission. It's been significant and powerful, and I'm very, very thankful.
Got it. So what is the perfect model if I had to talk with Donald Dew in the next 10 years? Mm-hmm. What do you really want to be able to open the eyes and say, this is the way Chicago will look?
Well, you know, Chicago, I'll go back to when we were sitting on the Equal Access panel when the American with Disabilities Act was passed back in 1990. And a lot of different folks representing city departments were sitting around a table. And the mission was that we wanted the Central Business District and the surrounding communities in Chicago to be the most accessible, you know, areas in the world. And that was a very powerful vision, a very powerful mission and dream. But now when you look at the Central Business District and many areas outside the Central Business District, they're accessible. You've got ramps, you've got, you know, elevators, you've got a lot of ways that people are able to move and access services in ways that they never did before. Well, I'm looking for the same thing on the behavioral health side. I'm looking for folks to be accessing mental health services, substance use services, so much so that they are not concerned about any issues related to what people might think about me being crazy or that I may have a drug issue, but that they're seeking services proactively, and that as a result of seeking out these services, they're able to contribute more to their families. So what I would hope to see in terms of this model of care is that our model will provide that opportunity for folks to get the health care that they need, the human services that they need, continue to encourage them to be good parents, quality parents, and encourage the children to be the best that they can be, go on to college, go into a skill center, learn a trade, whatever it is that you want to do, but be a meaningful contributing part of our society, and again, contributing to the community, not detracting from it.
Got it. I mean, Don, you've been involved for a number of years with your organization. What's been one of the most enlightening examples that you've seen habilitative systems create with the family?
Building. I mean, when I go to our senior facility and I talk to some of our elders, and they say to me, this is some of the best living I've ever had in my life, to be able to sit in my office on the west side of Chicago and watch a building being built, a beautiful building being built that's providing a safe, protective environment for our seniors, has been very heartwarming for me to see that. Likewise, with our children, with our youth, to know that we've saved and served hundreds of children in the juvenile justice system, but as a result of them coming through our program, none of those children have reoffended and had to go back into the juvenile justice system. Mm-hmm. To be able to look at a person who has maintained sobriety for years, been reunited with their families, a person who was formerly incarcerated, coming out, getting on his feet, getting a job, being able to talk to the staff at HSI. One of our staff persons who was formerly a person that was being served said, on an interview recently on Channel 2 News, he said, this place taught me how to be a man. I used to think that manhood was about how violent I could be. Now I realize that manhood is about responsibility. That said it all.
That's an interesting point to say that, hey, I've been involved with that, where I have individuals who say, hey, we've had this impact now I'm a real man. I've created part of life. It'll impact my kids and me for the rest of my life.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
That does it for me.
So will we see over the next generation here that we're having a transition of age, a lot of folks that are going into the elder years? Are we really going to see America become the America that we always thought it could be?
Well, I've seen a lot of things that I didn't think possible were already happening in my lifetime. I've seen the Chicago Bulls win 6 championships. I've seen the Chicago Cubs win a World Series. I've seen the White Sox win a World Series. I've seen the black president.
The black president.
I've seen a lot of things that I didn't think would have been possible in my lifetime. So I'm going to keep hope alive, and I'm going to do everything within my power to make that brighter day happen for us here in Chicago.
Got it. Would you advise your kids to come and make Chicago their homeland also?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I want to continue to give folk a reason to want to come back home to Chicago and to be a part of the growth and sustainability of the city. It's a great city, and when I look at what it's been able to do and what we've been able to do, I'm so happy. I always say that my mother was the first strategic planner I've ever knew in life. Okay. She made that decision to leave Louisiana and come to Chicago. Same thing with Dad. He decided to leave Mississippi and come to Chicago. Well, that decision made me possible, and made everything that I do possible.
Yeah, I was telling you that my uncle, John Peoples, former president of Jackson State, interesting format to say, hey, my relatives came out of the South. Yes. And they transitioned up here to Chicago. Mom and Dad coming in, one from Starksville, Mississippi, Mom, and from Memphis, Tennessee, Dad.
Yes.
And just to see this transition that took place in this country.
Yes.
And it's a transition that's still taking place on a daily basis right now.
It really is.
And right now, interesting thing, a lot of folks are going back.
Yes. Well, that transition at that time needed to happen. The choices that are being made to go back home, to the South, that's important as well. Many of us have land down in the South, that are still in the family and needs to be cared for, taken care of. We've got elder family members down south who didn't want to make that transition, that are still there, that need to be cared for. So for all those different reasons, I say, look, let's find a way to support it. But, one thing I know for sure, and that is that the model of HSI needs to be everywhere. Chicago, Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, California. It needs to be everywhere. So wherever people decide to land, there needs to be a resource like HSI.
Okay, and how can this be set up so that it's done? Will it be based here out of Chicago, or is it going to be a national organization? Is that it? What's going to be the model?
I think that it will be based here in Chicago, but I think ultimately it will be a national model, and it will take a national form. I'm not quite sure how that's going to happen just yet. That's where my supporters, and stakeholders who are more business inclined and have those resources and the knowledge base to help cultivate that strategy. But I think that ultimately it will be a national model, and it will be something that churches can embrace and elected officials can embrace, small businesses can embrace. I mean, we're working with Commissioner Tara Stamps right now with the barbershops and the beauty shops, just giving them an opportunity to engage in what they call shop talk. So they go in and get a haircut, but they also get some support from various mentors.
Now, do you still go to the barbershop?
I still go to the barbershop.
I need to at some point, but it's there. I'm just not working away.
Yeah.
I keep telling my daughter, she's like, look, Dad, you can get some braids. I go, okay, well, get set this up.
All right, we'll start. My IT guy started, with just twists, and now his locks are down to his knees. So hey, keep hope alive. You never know.
Yeah. What are you guys doing in terms of the organization for the AI with your organization?
Yeah, that's primarily in terms of our electronic health care records. AI, we're starting to use AI increasingly with the use of our electronic records and working with our staff in terms of documentation and making sure that there's good, accurate documentation to support the clinical outcomes that we're seeking.
Okay. Yeah. So it's in place. It's going to be part of the system. And again, it's going to happen anyway. So want to make sure that the organization's set up to make it work properly.
Absolutely, for sure.
So the question comes in, next step for organization. How long are you going to be at the organization, sir? Is this like your next 20, 30-year plan, or what are we talking about?
Well, I'm looking at folks like Congressman Davis, who's 80 plus years old, or Bishop Porter, who's 90 plus years old. And these gentlemen have taken retirement out of their playbook. It's no longer a job, it's mission. So as long as I can deliver this mission and be in my right mind and have a decently healthy body, I want to continue to serve. Now, that also means that I'm going to be cultivating leadership and a succession strategy. That's also a very real thing that needs to occur. So even as I speak, I'm seeking individuals to come and learn and be a part of this organization so that I can step back and let them continue to do what they do.
Got it.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work. I mean,
it is.
I do succession planning for a lot of organizations I'm involved with. And a lot of people say, I'm never going to go. Well, hey, it's part of life.
It's going to happen.
It begins and it will end.
Right.
At some point.
Yes.
And do you want it to be better or worse?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a format just to try to make people understand.
Yes.
Question for you, though. For those seniors right now who are listening to this program, what do we want them to take away from this type of opportunity? We're talking about what do they want to understand that Habilitative has available for them today?
Mm-hmm. They can certainly take away from this that we have housing for them, affordable housing, that for their children who they may be concerned about, who may be having some challenges, that we have services that they can tap into that help them with their children and their grandchildren. And we've certainly seen that phenomenon in our community that so many of our elders have had to, be the primary caretakers of the children or the grandchildren. So they need to know that we have services that are available for them as well.
Yeah, big issue that I'm dealing with a lot of estates that I help to manage.
Yeah.
Right now, it's the transition of this estate.
Yes.
And I always try to tell a lot of African Americans to understand, look, first thing, you need to get a will, because right now, the state of Illinois, if you don't have it, a third of your estate's going to the city or the state of Illinois.
Right.
And you do not have a will. And actually, you can get a free will.
Yes.
Actually, you can set up an account at different types of banks. They'll just get the will, you're done. At least you have something in place.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great advice, having a living trust, getting properties in trust, all that's critical, very, very important to do.
Yeah, it sounds easy, but hey, we're not seeing it being done.
Yeah.
And what's going to be, how do you use the hammers that, look, make this work?
Well, just like everything, when we were doing some leadership for the 2020 census, we partnered with the churches. The churches started having special Census Sunday events and opportunities for folks right there on Sunday to sign up and complete the census applications, right? So there's a way to get people involved. We can get the barbershops involved, beauty shops involved. There's different ways that you can get folk involved. So just like we're talking about that, as a strategy, we do the same thing with making sure that folk are checking off the things that they need to do, to make life right,
Yeah. Now, are you guys going to continuously be helping out with the census over the years coming up, or?
Well, yeah. When 2030 comes around, hopefully, we'll be asked by the state to be in another, intermediary position to do more support. We've got the model. We know what works. Okay. We had over 30 different organizations on the south and west sides of Chicago to participate, with us as a collaborative once again.
Now, I guess my logic is, why is this data just not easily available for people to get? Right now, I get taxes taken from me, other information you think you'd be able to get.
Yeah.
Why is there a problem really with the census data?
Well, once again, I think that it's a matter of what we can do and engage with social media. When we were really pushing the census, we engaged social media a lot. We still have a website up, and it's called Counting on Chicago 2020. And you can see and the breadth and the depth of what we did in terms of community outreach and community impact during that particular time. And it's really about getting the word out. That's really all it's about. And, I remember a time when the 10 o'clock news would come on, there would always be one simple question, and that is, it's 10 o'clock, do you know where your children are? That was always the question.
I remember
that. But it was a social media campaign, right? And it's all about a campaign. Over on the south side of Chicago, Soft Sheen, had a campaign, Black on Black Love campaign, to counteract what was happening with Black on Black hate that was going on. So it's all about messaging. The message has always been, with the drum beat, how can you get the word out there in a way that people can internalize and resonate with? And that's what you want to do, just keep coming up with those strategies.
Good. We're living in a world right now. We have a lot of challenges that need to be resolved.
Yes.
We got political issues. We got to get them resolved.
Right.
That will change one way or another.
Yes.
But the format right now is, how do we make this a better place?
Yes.
Right now, do I have to go to Russia and do a deal with?
Well, I wouldn't choose Russia right now. But of course, a lot of African Americans have chosen to leave the United States because they don't think that the United States will be the place to be. And this is not the first time. We've had our leaders in years gone by that have chosen to go to other countries. So that's understandable. You have to make the decision about what's in your best interest and those that you love. And once you can make that determination, then you choose where that place is going to be.
Got it.
But I still feel very strongly that United States will be home, and that there's a lot of promise to be had right here.
Yeah, I hate the fact that I've paid a lot of money into this Social Security system, a lot of tax money that was supposed to be placed. Only reason I really paid the taxes is because my parents were receiving Social Security and all that stuff at the time.
Right.
But right now, I have a system that's saying, hey, by 2040, we may be bankrupt.
Yeah, I'm just glad I decided to start taking Social Security now.
It's like just take it.
I'm not waiting, right. Yeah.
It's weird because I counsel a lot of folks on the financial side to say, hey, how do you utilize this thing you've been forced to be involved with? And it was a point where, again, a lot of African Americans that had paid into the system did not receive their benefits because they did not live long enough to collect such a benefit.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I decided to start collecting now, because you just never know. But by the same token, we got to continue to encourage our elected officials to develop and cultivate and promote policies that make good sense, for the people, of the country. And, I'm hopeful that we will come up with a fiscal strategy that can keep that tragedy from occurring, because I'd like to be around in 2040, and I'd like to be able to continue to get my benefits.
And of course, Donald President Donald Trump.
Yes.
I know you're listening to this program, so hey, we're getting this from Donald Trump to say, look, you need to make sure this is done properly.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, last question I'd have on the table for you. Where do you want to be here after the few years when you retire? You want to stay here in Chicago, Ladera, or are you going to go back to Switzerland, or what are you going to do?
Well, I think that I will have a home here in Chicago,
Okay.
and I'll probably have a home in a warmer climate.
Okay.
You know, and I have to decide. My wife and I will have to decide what that climate would be, but and that country would be. But we want to be able to. Maybe we'll be doing the snowbird thing, you know. But
I have a young lady who's down in Florida, and she says, "Oh, come to Florida. It's too cold there in Chicago." I said, "Well, you know, it's not a bad place. Good place to ski sometimes."
yeah. I mean, you know, but we do like the warmer climates, and we do like to look at where those other options would be. Yeah, for sure.
Like I said, it's just life. Now, you'd mentioned that I'm going to get you on the basketball court again.
All right.
Okay.
But I can tell you right now, there'll be jump shots and three-pointers. I won't be batting.
Well, I'm telling you, as long as we could get this set up where we can get the NBA to allow me to come on with my cane and I can take the 3-point shots, I'm telling you, we could bring the Bulls back. I'm telling you, we could do it.
All right, let's do it.
Oh,
Let's do it.
We just can make it happen.
All right.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Habilitative systems, history, been around for many years. You've been a key component in habilitative systems to make this thing grow and to help a lot of people.
Yes.
My question is, how do we give tribute back to you for all the work you've done over the years here and the fact that, hey, we can only thank you so much for what you've been able to achieve?
Yeah, well, you know, I appreciate that. And I would say probably the greatest way that people can thank me for the effort is for investing in the organization and helping us with that sustainability strategy. I mean, that to me is the best way that I can see it being done. Because you just don't want to think that 40, 50 years of your life has been in vain. You know, you want it to be here, you know, after you're gone. You do.
Again, what are you telling your kids also? Do you want them to help also get this mandate taken care of and completed?
Yes, I mean, I think our children have a role in this, and they have to make choices about exactly, you know, what those roles look like. I'm not certainly pressing any of my children to try and be the next CEO at HSI, but if they want to support the mission, I'm certainly going to give the opportunity to do so. If they want to support organizations that are doing the same type of work at HSI, that's great, because that's the work that we need to be supported. No question about that.
It's not an easy job. I try to tell my daughter daily that there's lots of things that she could do that can help out many different organizations around the country.
Yes.
She's just done things from the TV shows and promotion. She's definitely helping with the youth violence, trying to assist with those things to make things work. But hey, you just tell them, it's going to be up to you. If you want to make a change, it's up to you to make it happen.
Absolutely. I mean, we're the bridge builders, we're the light bearers. We've got to, you know, pass it on, and hopefully they'll receive the message. And I think our job is to make it enticing enough and interesting enough and exciting enough for them to want to be a part of it. You
So
know?
does this mean we need to get a new rap song?
I think that's
it's
part of
Blair,
it.
we got you. We're going to get you.
We can do.
I can say now. We get the tape and we get it done and we go from there.
Absolutely.
It's interesting taking a lot of your time, sir, and I've got a lot of information.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate that you've come over and given us the insight of what you've been able to achieve and do. And now I'm trying to say, this is just phase one. We had Donald do today. They were looking for our next step. So this is phase two of what we're trying to create.
All right.
So we got the endowment that's going to be coming up with the habilitative systems. We'll be following up there to make sure all the corporate contributions are coming through and acknowledgments take place. So that's our next step.
Well, you know, I tell you, I know that Chicago will respond, and I truly appreciate the opportunity that you've given us today to talk about what we do. Thank you so much.
Hey, like I said, it's been great for me. I'm just looking when you and I get on the table, be at the stadium, doing the basketball deal.
Let's do it.
Now, again, I do have these leg problems, you know. I have this little issue that's they call it multiple sclerosis. So they say,
Yes.
hey, you can only do so much, but hey, I don't care. My daughter's going to be a doctor right now, so she's ready to go to
She'll
med
figure
school.
it
Say,
out.
I
There
told her,
you
look, get this done. Just send me the pill.
Absolutely.
And everything
Let's
is
get it
done.
done. Absolutely.
But hey, that's the joys of being here and trying to make things happen.
Absolutely.
Let me know what else you need, and we'll make it happen.
Okay.
And we'll talk to whatever people. I told Larry that we need to make sure that we're connecting all different organizations around the country
Yes.
to assist with what Habilitative done. What are people doing in other countries that you've been able to see as a good model?
Well, you know, again, there's been some innovative things happening in some of the third world countries. I've been affiliated with the Commission on the Accreditation of Rehabilitation Facilities as its board chair. So we've got great things happening in Canada and parts of Asia. And it's just powerful to see these great models at work.
What's the best model you've seen?
I can't say there's been a best model yet. But I've seen a lot of good models that are out there that are very powerful and having tremendous impact. Yeah.
So what do we need to do to make habilitative systems to be the best model to acknowledge?
Well, the first step is to invest in HSI. That's number one.
That's number one.
That's number one. Got to invest in HSI and our model, and we can continue to work to make it the best.
Well, we put on the table. You were trying to set this model up in every state, so we'll go from there.
That sounds like a plan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you so much. All right, great.